Welcome, everyone. This is once again your host bringing you live a topic as we always bring. But today I have always been a pleasure with my co-host and my mentor kind of thing, or we both are mentor of each other because we exchange a lot of things and we exchange so amazing things. And yeah, last time, as you probably know, we started a series kind of we wanted to start about like what is real talk and what is reality and what is real check. So we did that topic, but today we are bringing you an amazing topic which we all have inside us and outside us, what we show and what we are inside, what we show to ourselves and what we show to others. So the topic is quite interesting, but it's quite interconnected, quite complicated, but quite interconnected, quite important because it is what it is. Just like, we cannot dispute with our own mind, we cannot dispute. But then we have to bear with the challenges of with our own mind, conflicts, our own mind's thoughts, our own mind's changing environment. And so this is a topic that we brought today. And Adriana, my co-host and my kind of a go-to person for any topic, really speaking, that we can explore under this sun that we have been brought into this universe. And what a pleasure it has been, Adriana, to talk to you always. But today, this topic is going to be interesting for you, for me to explore everything, and all to our listeners, because the topic is called duality. And people might resonate with a lot of things of duality. They may say, oh, is it a double meaning? Or is it a double standards? Or is it a two kind of personalities, twin personalities? All of these things people can think, but no. This is something when we speak, when we talk, everybody has got a different kind of resonating. So today we are going to dwell onto this topic, duality, which I think, let me start something as a starting point, and then we'll go to our speaker and beautiful, Adriana, who has got so much of in-depth knowledge that we can explore and bounce to each other. So, Adriana, welcome to this amazing show. And thank you so much for once again being a part of this beautiful journey that we have embarked on. And I think duality is something that I had in my mind, and this is just came out of blue spontaneity, which we always have spontaneous actions and reactions. So duality is one of those. So I wanted to welcome you first, and then I want to just touch on this. What is this duality according to me? Let's start with that. So, just like we have a sun and then we have a moon, but then they come in different timing zone, they have different time zones. So, is that something that we can say there are two things that we need? Both the things we need, even though they come at different time zones, they affect us, they
Mhm.
impact us. So just like that, duality is within us. Why we say we have been given two eyes? Should we say that there are two eyes means dual things, or 2 ears mean dual things? Or is it something two nostrils that we have could also be dual things? But this is all just the physical aspect of it. But we are going to touch on the mindsets and the mind that we come and clashes that come with it, the duality. So duality to me is like very interesting part of it that we want to uncover. Let's dive into this dual personality or duality means, like is it the two parts, or is it two opposite meanings, or is it two different things? What it is like, is it the good and the evil? Is it the bad and the good? Is it the hate and the love? What should we say? Duality. So metamorphically we can always say, and then we say, oh, I need peace. But why we need peace? Because there is a war. Why need
Mhm.
light? Because there is a dark. So is it like that duality, or is it something else? Or what can we assess and what can we assume, but what can we resonate? That's the most important, is resonating with the duality, resonating with our own personality. So I'll go to Adriana today. And Adriana, just let's dwell into this beautiful topic, but complicated yet interesting, yet
Yeah.
interconnecting, yet interchanging, I call it. So This is a broader view I'm telling you. Let's get dive into it. Tell me something about this duality. Why do we need to speak on it? Why it is important? And what does it do to our emotional well-being as well? How does it affect?
Mm, it's such a vast subject. Thank you
I
so
know.
much for having us. Thank you so much for having this conversation. It can be such a dive deep conversation, and we can keep it to the surface. We'll see where this takes us.
Yeah.
For me personally, because I can only speak from my point of view, the
Mm-hmm.
way I witness and see it and experience duality, and I research about it because I love the universal laws. And one of the
Correct.
universal laws that we all go by, our lives, everything, the science, everything goes by this universal law. And
Mm,
they are, we cannot deny them because they're part of our life every single
mm,
day. And when it comes to the concept of the laws of duality, or sometimes people call it the law of polarity,
correct.
when it
Correct.
comes to that, it's this concept that they say that everything in this life
Mm,
has a contrast opposite of it.
right.
Because without having a contrast opposite, you're not be able to
Mm,
completely feel the experience of that thing, that situation, that feeling, that whatever that is.
yeah.
Like, that the picture of the yin and yang, with the white goes in the black and the black goes in the white,
Yes.
that duality contrast.
Mm,
And you see that how one part is like the dark part is bigger, and then it goes slightly into the white part, and the white part goes, and then you'll wonder which is best. And it doesn't, it's not existing. It's the same with when we come to duality: love and hate,
yeah.
success and failure, good and bad,
Yeah.
cold and hot.
Mm,
All of this, I
mm,
see that they are so crucial to our existence
true.
because it makes us, give us the opportunity to experience things in our lives.
Mm,
We could not experience cold without
mm,
the opposite, the
yeah.
hot.
So true.
We cannot experience one without the other one. And I
Absolutely.
think they are crucial. The same people focusing so much on positive, positive, positive. But
Mm,
think about how our life will be like if we only focus on positive. How
mm,
our life will look like. How will we experience life if we only felt the good and not the bad?
mm.
So the question is, dive a little bit more philosophical.
Yeah.
Could we ever experience ourselves
Mm,
feeling just one side of the story without the other side?
mm.
Because in the end, like even like a magnet has positive and negative on the
True.
same spectrum, like
Yeah.
on the same level, but opposite poles. And
Yes.
it needs, doesn't matter how many times you will cut a magnet in half, you will
Yeah.
never be able to take the positive out of negative. Even if it's thin, 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 you're still gonna have a positive and negative. You can separate it
Mm,
because those things create and makes it us complete. The
yeah.
same that the experience that we live makes
Mm,
it us complete. And for me, duality is part of life, is part of who I am, is part of the experiences I have every single day. And this life will not exist. Us will be able to experience ourselves in
yeah.
this life without having the plus and the minus, the positive and negative, and so
Mm,
on. So I don't think that we can live without this duality.
mm,
And also,
mm.
it's a must of accepting both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Much as we want to focus on the positive and run away from the negative,
Mm,
we will never be able. And
mm.
that fighting or running from is in vain. And
Yeah.
it gives us anxiety, depression, exhausted, being exhausted, and so on. So yes, it's definitely a subject that we can ignore it
Mm,
or not,
mm.
but still going to be part of our lives every single
Yeah.
day.
And that's a good thing what you mentioned, that it is irrespective whether without one or the other, we cannot survive or sustain or live. Because just you, when you said, it was good to understand for all listeners that if you have only one thing to do, positive, 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 then what are you creating? Nothing. Or if you have only negative, negative, you're focusing, then what are you creating? Nothing. You're just following one path. Whereas these both things, when they have with you, It gives you an opportunity to create, whether it is negative or whether it is positive. You have an opportunity to create, and that's what who we are as a creators and as a creation. So I think you very well put that without one or the other, we just can't. There is no such thing as life without one or the other. So, to all the listeners, I want to just make it a point here that, we are so focused on doing one thing, either go one direction and saying that this is the only way. But no, you have to experience both and still manage both. And then only you can actually experience the real who you are, or what's your talent, or what your skills are. Otherwise, you are not going to experience that. That's what I came to know with this conversation with you just now, what you said, Adriana. But let's dive into this layers of this duality, as you mentioned, that, we, without cold, we don't know what's warm. Without light, we don't know what's dark. Without this, we don't know what it is. And that is so crucial, as you mentioned, to our life journey. It's very important. So we cannot survive with one on the other, and we should never have a mindset that will have only one thing. Because I think what after this I realized that the sun comes and does its own bit, what it's supposed to do. The moon comes and does its own bit, but they are all interconnected. Behind the scene, if you look at it, they are all interconnected, right? So otherwise, the day will not be finished if the night moon will not come, and same vice versa. So night will not be finished if the sun doesn't come. So it's so interconnected to have both the things in our life, and that is what makes us who we are as a dual things. But doesn't mean that it's like, oh, you are a double standards. Yeah, there are a lot of things that then negative things comes, like, are you saying something and behaving something? Are you talking something and actions or something? So that's also could be a duality. However, that's not what we are uncovering here. We are uncovering here the realities and the facts of this universe, and that is what we are discussing here. So in terms of life, Adriana, what do you think, like when it comes to like human, so or when it comes to in a person? So in a person can be good, a person can be bad, a person can be evil, and all these labels that is
Yeah.
compared in the in the human, widely, you can, and then we need psychology to understand this good and bad or evil, and these why they are behaving, what is their behavior. How do you see this as in person, as a human? This duality plays an important role because it encompasses both good and evil. It stresses on both, but also broadly, these are all incompatible characteristics, or it is there are personalities of two people or personalities in one person itself. There are different things they behave, and then we say, oh, he's a double, like morning he says something, evening he says something. What is it like, when we talk about that? How do you see this as an effect on humans' personal life or in the life that they live? And how does it, it's important because they are surviving around every other human, and it affects every other human, their own duality or personality.
Yeah.
How do you explore that to me?
Let me ask you and the audience something
Yeah.
and see what came up will come for you. So as an example, we
Mhm.
most of us we love movies. And
Yeah.
if we go to a movie, ask yourself, why do you go for a movie? Why do you like to go to movies?
Mm.
Because as an example, let me ask you this question. If you will go to a movie and the movie starts amazing and the character is awesome and is going through a lot of stuff and wins a lot of things and have a lot of success,
Mhm.
and then the movie proceed, and then you're in the middle of the movie and things are still going well and everything is amazing and this character is creating amazing stuff, and so everything goes well. They get married, whatever that is, and is awesome. The hero wins everything, and then the end of the movie, it's
Mm-hmm.
again end up incredible and everything was awesome. How many of you will ever say that that movie was amazing? How
Yeah.
many of you get bored by half of the movie? How
Correct.
many, and this movie is all about positive.
Mm.
You know why people go to movies?
Hmm.
Because they love the drama, because they
Yeah.
love the failure and the journey of the hero, that the hero's going through ups and downs and failures and death or things that happen and all the things that happen for that character.
Mm.
That journey, the up and down, positive and negative, success and failure, and lesson learns, and people dying and people coming back, and all these things are happening. That's what creates the movie, and the audience want to engage and they remember the movie and they are in the movie and they felt like they were in the movie with it because of this play of up and down and positive and negative. That's why make the movie a success.
Mm.
The movie industry knows that, and you know it because you are in this industry as well.
Yeah.
People love that
Yes.
because of the duality. And then that's why people, if they like a movie and they come back and they go again to the same movie, why do you think people love to see the same movie over and over again?
Yeah.
Why? Because of the predictability and because they know that it's going to be engaged, because they know that this is going to make their a roller coaster of emotion.
Yeah.
And we can have that without having just positive, without negative, just having
True.
success, love, without the hate and
Mm.
the villain or the bad person in the movie.
Mm. Mm.
So we need both in the same time.
Mm.
Another way to tell you, if I come and tell you that I am successful, amazing, good, I never lie, ah, la la la. Will you ever believe me? What
Mm.
would you think about me?
Yeah.
You knew it's impossible for me to just be good and successful and amazing and excellent and outstanding.
Yeah.
You that that is impossible.
Yeah.
It's in our human nature.
Mm.
But if I come to you and tell you,
Mm.
sometimes I'm good, sometimes I fail.
Mm.
Sometimes I success, sometimes I fell down and I make a big boo-boo or I lied. Sometimes I say truth.
Mm.
Sometimes I do this, sometimes I do that. Then you tend to believe more in me. You tend to think that I'm more of a credible person. Like she's
Mm.
right. Why?
Mm.
Because we all go through the same thing and it makes me more authentic and more credible in front of you
Mm.
because it's in our human nature to have both.
Yeah.
Nobody, as much as maybe outside we come and say, I think about myself, I'm a pretty good person, but that
Mm.
doesn't mean I'm always good.
So true.
There are moments, we all have moments, if we want to recognize them or not, we all have moments in our lives
Mm.
where we mean or we judge people or we think some couple of things that we're not proud of. I'm not
Mm.
saying all the time, but we
Yeah.
all do it. It's in our human nature.
Correct.
So
Correct.
we accept
Mm.
that we both have positive and negative in us,
Mm.
and it's part of us. It's called
Mm.
being a human. Then our lives feels a little bit better because now we become more authentic with who we are and we accept both parts of us. And when you accept both parts of you,
Mm.
that means accept you, the whole you as a human. Then you can experience, because in the moment when you can accept the bad in you,
Mm.
then you can accept the bad in the person in front of you.
Yeah.
But if you're not able to accept the mistakes, the failure, the liars in other people,
Mm.
it's because you cannot accept it in you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. You touched on very nicely. So, what do you think, like, when we look at as a human and we look at, can these be, there are two always, like we mentioned, sun and moon, or light and day, or day and night. But then we also now can explore that birth and death and then rebirth. But I wanted to touch on the physical aspect is one, which is birth and death. But then there is a mind aspect, a minding, a thinking aspect, which is like when you are together. So you may not be physically together, but you are together in your mind. And then when you are physically separated, but you don't believe you are separated, you still are together. Now, that personality or that type of thinking, so one aspect is the physical aspect, which is you are actually away. But then the mental aspect or the thinking aspect is you, even though you are away, you are still together because you do a lot of resonating with each other. So when I come to this duality, what does it mean? Every culture, every religion says there is an ideology, and they follow that ideology. And that ideology, your ideology, my ideology could be different, but the goals are same, but the ideology is different. So we may say, oh, that's the duality, or that's the dual personality, or that's the dual path that they have, two different paths. But then it goes to the same goal, you know. But in reality, when I look at it, I feel they are all interconnected by some or the other. Ultimately, you may think differently, I may think differently, but then we are interconnected behind it, that our vision and our goals are quite same. So even though it's dual, we say it because you doing one way, I doing one way, so we can call it dual. But then in our own self, we might do one thing in two different ways, and still it is same. So how do we put the real context of the real meaning in reality? Like in reality, when I say is like in real journey of our life journey, we act, we take actions, we live our moments, we create our moments. Now, with this mindset, so thinking is one thing and physically is another thing. You may be separate, but you may not be separated in mind and soul and thoughts. That's why they say it's the thought that counts. So even though I may not hear physically with you, but my thought is there with you. So that also is interconnected, right? Because we are all soul connected humans. So this is quite interesting, Adriana. Like, how do we put this into the perspective of all the listeners who are listening that, okay, don't get bogged down or don't get like inclined to doing only one way or one thing. Just like, we have got joy, we have got happiness, but we also have sadness. But these are all our experiences and our mind and our emotional things. But they could be like, whether this duality affects our mental health, or it improves, or it can improve and it can also take us
Mm.
down, this dual personality or this duality. How do you think with the mental health when it comes to mental health? Because knowing that everything in life exists and opposite extremes, we prepare for the opposite. We know there's something exists, but then we are prepared for the opposite. If it doesn't exist, then what? And this is our
Mm.
mind again giving us uncertainties. Prepare for all the uncertainties. So
Mm.
how do we make this more for all the listeners from an emotional, from a mental health point of view?
Yes.
Let's uncover these thoughts that keeps coming to us and the opposites that we are working towards. Because what we do, they always say, oh, you just think for the best and do for the worst. So we always say that, okay, you always be positive outcome, but then we always work towards the worst that can happen, right?
Mm.
And that's our emotional well-being that affects. So for our listeners, how would you put this in simple terms, in your normal terms, to explain them that what is important for our
It
mental?
is. Yeah, it's such a great question and something to look at. When it comes to the emotionally, the mental, it's kind of like, the iceberg. Whatever's underneath the water is the big portion of it.
Yeah.
The same the same with us. The thinking or whatever we can express outside is that at the edge, the top. But the
Mm.
emotions, what underneath that rules and move that iceberg.
Yeah. Yeah.
Analogy that they came to my mind is when I was studying the emotions, emotional intelligence. It's the scale of David Hawkins. He has an emotional scale. So for those that are not quite familiar with him and his work, which I highly recommend. He has amazing books in when it comes to emotional intelligence. He mentioned that imagine a scale from like 0 to say 1,000. Zero emotional scale. Zero is like the bottom of it. What is the lowest of emotions, vibrational speaking?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And 1,000 is like the highest emotional vibration, like
Mm.
the illuminated people, let's call it the awakened people. And
Correct.
that is the highest one is authenticity. That's
Correct.
the highest emotion or like the way value and way of being as a human is authenticity. And the lowest one, for
Mm.
my surprise, when I learned about this, I thought it's fear, but it's not.
Mm.
Actually, guilt and shame, those are the bottom ones. And then as we go on this scale, as I said, is all in a thread, like they're all on the same scale, but some of them are low and some of them are high. When it
Mm.
comes to positive and negative, think of a positive as a scale on top there as 1,000, and negative as a bottom of where the shame is as emotion, and that is heavy. Let's
Yeah.
ask how many times you felt shame, how
Mm.
that felt in your body. Did it felt
True.
heavy? Did it felt unpleasant? And when it comes to, you are mentioning people are going towards or thinking and going towards looking for positive and
Yeah.
running away from negative.
Yeah.
Is
Correct.
that exactly you heard the saying? Most people are going towards pleasure and away from pain.
Yep.
Everything in our life, it's either running from pain
Mm.
or towards pleasure. But
Yes.
most of the people are running from pain.
Yes. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that is something that I look at it at this duality too. We're
Mm.
running
Correct. Because
towards
opposite, like the opposites. Yeah.
like the opposite.
Mm.
But think about it. If you are in this scale and think about it, this is the scale, yes?
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
negative is at the bottom of my hand here, and the positive is here. The good emotion, the love, the connection, all these the amazing emotions, the excitement
Yeah.
are here. And
Mm-hmm.
then that at the bottom is the shame, the fear, the scare, the all of this thing, the anger and frustration. They're at the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
and we're running from them and running from them. But as we're running, they come with us. We
Mm.
cannot run from them. They are
Mm.
in the scale. They are embedded in us. So the
Yeah.
idea is the awareness that we have all of them, and if they were given to us to feel them, then whatever your creator, the
Mm.
God, universe, the higher self, or just energy, whatever you want to call it, if it was given to us to feel, why are we running from
Mm.
what was embedded in us to feel,
Yeah.
including shame, emotions, and all of
So
that?
true. So
For
true.
me, my own concept
Mm-hmm.
is that love is everything,
Yes.
including
Yeah.
including grief. When you grieve someone, what that means, you missing someone. Why you missing someone? Because you love them. It's a form of love. When
Yeah.
you scared is literally
Mm.
at the bottom of the same emotion, which is love, but the
Mm-hmm.
opposite of it. But does mean it's still love. It's a
Correct.
different type. It's a different type of energy, but
Correct.
it's still on the scale of love. If you move a little bit higher, it is still love.
Mm. Mm.
It's up to how you look at it
Yeah.
instead of running from it.
Mm.
And whatever emotions you have and you try to run away from them,
Mhm.
one thing I recommend to everyone as a tool, a practical tool, everything that happened in my life, instead of running away or being upset with it, or not agree with it, or disagree with why this is happening to me,
Mm.
sit with it and ask myself, okay, that
Mhm.
means I'm running from the negative and I'm seeing just the positive. How about if
Mm.
I, me, myself, consciously start to see what is negative in this? Or if you are something focused on the negative,
Mm-hmm.
I promise you will find at least 2 to 3 or more
Mm.
positives in your negatives.
Yeah.
When you do, you will able to balance and bring that balance in your emotional being. So then don't let the universe to bring the negative in your
Yeah.
positive
Yeah.
or the positive in your negative, by you doing it consciously, by you looking for them And that for me was a game changer. When I
Wow.
was able to build this muscle of looking what is positive
Mm-hmm.
in my next situation, I felt more at peace. I grew my emotional intelligence and my resilience, and I was able to be more in control of where I'm going and how I handle whatever comes to me.
Mm-hmm. So don't you think that this is kind of like two dual things, like two attitudes of a human, and every human has got attitudes at different levels and at different time circumstances. So I feel that I resonated like, okay, I've got an intuition, so my attitude towards one thing changes when I have got an intuition. But then, if the same thing, if I want to make an attitude towards a deliberate thought process attitude, that means I am thinking consciously and I'm taking those decisions. But certain decisions, I just take it out of the blue because it's my intuition, instinct that we call it. And that instinct attitude and an attitude which is explicit, which is outside the implicit, inside. So one comes within, and the other comes with a thought that I have to take this attitude. So, that, and they both affect, and they both can be like called as dual attitudes, but they are taken by one person only. There is no two different persons taking two different things. We all, as you rightly said, we all is embedded. Why should we run away? We face it. We face it with a attitude, whether it's an attitude with deliberate thinking and taking, or whether it's instinctively taking. But that attitude is there, right? I see that as a good kind of a resonating for people who think that, oh, I can't, I'm stuck or I can't do this. But no, they can do it. And that is the behavior again. So then the behavior can be anything, like, the behavior can be displayed by your physical, by your mind, by your body, by your brain, or doing different things, whatever you can display that behavior. But then,
Mm.
there's like duality comes into that personality of your own. How do you consider yourself? Because there is a good side of to you, there is a evil side to you as well in everyone's personality. They both are there, as you rightly said. But what is important is how you behave and the decisions you make, basically. The choices people make determine whether a person is good or not, because that's what the treatment, I call it, they say, I sometimes people say it's your choice, but I always say that rather than choice, how do you treat a person is more important than just saying or talking or even like choosing. It's no, your actions is matters. So how you
Mm.
treat person is important rather than
Yeah.
just saying I would have done this, I would have done that. No, you should take action to prove that you are, what you mean is what you do, and what you do is what you meant, basically. So in that context, if I have to ask you, Adriana, like in terms of that, a human behavior or a human's nature, the personality could be different things, but then ultimately how you treat is what actually you become good or bad, or people make you a label. So do you think that what type of experience, that what type of experience is there for duality for others? Because when they are around other people, we need to ask ourselves, how is this experience that we are having, is it a valid one or is it a foolproof one? What is it? Is it a real? In other words, we need to inquire, we need to investigate ourselves, our truthfulness, because our truthfulness comes with our own personality. So duality is like two things, but who are we when we behave too differently? Who are we? That also we have to prove all the time to us. Does that make sense? Like we all, so that to prove others that, hey, you may think that I am acting like this, but no, I am this also. Because you may think I am evil, but no, I have a good side as well. You haven't tested that. And I have to keep justifying myself and I have to keep proving myself to others as well in that duality conflict or in that duality situation, right? And that becomes a tough challenge for a human mind. And that is our emotional well being, which is quite disturbed all the time. But then we only overcome those disturbances. We only have to overcome it, right? What would
Yeah.
you like describe this? What is the psychology in your, because you are into communication. So when you communicate, people communicate differently at different questions, at different times, at different levels. But then you understand that, oh no, that before you judge anyone, you first understand the communication, right? And
Yeah.
when it is duality, it becomes more stressing on how to understand what exactly that person meant, you know? So how do you see this as a known thing?
Yeah. It came to me a quick a question that I was asked when it comes to who is right and who is wrong, especially in
Mm,
relation.
mm, mm.
That's a big
And like
conversation in
like
it.
the black versus the white, who is white and who is black?
Like
Like
the best,
like the
black or
masculine
white.
and feminine.
Yeah, the masculine. Who is and then someone
Yeah.
asked me, okay, Adriana, so how do we resolve this when both of the people from their point of view they think they're right?
Mm,
How do you make this happen? Like as in a communication, interrelationship communication coach, how do
mm,
you deal with this when say a couple comes and say, no, I'm right, no, I'm right. Who
mm.
is right? And then I had this analogy that one person addressed me and he said, if two people you give the same, like two people, you give them the same soup to eat, to taste.
Yeah.
And one person come and say, this soup is amazing. And
Mm.
then the other person says, this soup is too salty.
Mm.
Who is right and who is wrong?
Correct. Correct. And because
Nobody.
just like I'm sorry, I'm jumping in here because in my political experiences, that when I see politics everywhere in the world today, they always say, oh, you are a left wing or you are a right wing. But they both are important for the whether the country to live or to move or to, they both are, because without each other, you won't know. The ideologies could be different. You may be left, I may be right, or you may be center right or center left, whatever you call it. But we all have all these things in within us, and we have to. So, this is multiple feelings also it comes with. Just like, we
Yeah.
have masculine and feminine. So it's very interesting for me to understand this. What is the communication psychology? Because perspectives could be different, but they all exist within us. My perspective of one thing could be different, one other thing could be different, but we still have to live together. We still have to make sure that we understand each other, right? And that is
Mhm.
the beautiful belief that we all have. But like physical existence, non-physical existence, I was telling you before, or the mind existence, what is the substance, what is the matter of everything that we do? Within us, we sometimes behave like a evil, sometimes we behave like a good, but then others are also reacting to it in a different form and in a different format. So continue.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wanted to just jump in with that.
I like that. It is. It's so many. There's so many situations when we say as a experience. I come
Mm.
and I say something. I give you so my from my own personal life, so make it a little bit more tangible.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
come and I say something to my partner or to a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever I say, my intention is not to harm that person. And that's why I truly believe that yes, we all have plus and minus, we all have duality, we all have, mean and good and all of this bad and good and so on inside.
Mm.
But I promise you that no person, including myself or nobody, wakes up in the morning and says, today I'm gonna hurt my partner, or
Mm.
today I'm gonna say something to my children to upset them or to make them think that I don't love them.
Mm.
Nobody ever wakes up with a bad intention.
Mm.
Even if we act on that, even if we sound like we said something bad, most
Mm-hmm.
of the people, we say things not to hurt people.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody I feel like nobody wakes up and says that I'm gonna hurt someone to that today. We might do it. I'm not saying we're not doing it. We all do it at one point in our life, but we don't have the intention for that.
Correct.
Like in my own life, sometimes I say certain things to my partner, not because I'm mean with him, not because I want to hurt him or I want the worst for him. I love him. I want the best for him. But I say it in a way, and then he filter it to his own perspective, through his own experience of life, and he will perceive it in his own way. Even my intention wasn't to hurt him. He might understood it or take it or perceive it as I said something that hurt him. So it's not, a lot of the time is that I might say something and the other person will perceive it as a mean thing or as hurting them. And that's
Yeah.
when communication is so important. That to clarify it, to always make sure you clarify what you said with the other person and ask, or even the other person, if they don't understand or they felt like what you just said hurt me, speak it out. Say it. The person in front of you might not know that you perceive it that way. So if you say, my partner come and just say, I said something and my partner said, felt it or, perceive it that, oh, that was mean. If he's not telling me, I might never know. But if he comes and tell me, say, hey, whatever you said in that moment, this is how I perceive it. Can you explain it? Is this exactly what you wanted to say? Or it was something, or I perceive it this way. Now you give the opportunity to the other person first to hear themselves through you, because maybe sometimes we say things and we never heard exactly what we say. And also you give the opportunity to the other person to have a grace to be like, oh, actually, I didn't want to say that. Oh, maybe they got it wrong. Oh my God, not they got it wrong, but they understand totally different than I wanted to say. I told them to, get some groceries, and maybe they got it that they got it like, oh, I never do groceries. Maybe I said it that way, but my intention wasn't that way. And that's when the conflict is happening, because it's the miscommunication between what I said, what they interpreted, and now I feel like I'm speaking different languages. That's when one said, I said a positive, like I came out as a negative, but I had the positive intention, and then the other person perceive it as a negative, and they wonder now why did they say that? What the heck happened? And so on. But when we communicate with each other and clarify, then all these conflicts and battles between what we say and how we say it and so on can dissipate and dissolve so much faster and easier by being curious, by clarifying what exactly we said, how we said it, and wondering what exactly the other person perceived. Because most of the time we know when that we said something and the other person look at us and kind of like their face completely change, because they were either in shock of what we said, or they're like, you can see the frustration on them. We can read that, especially with the loved ones. We cannot deny that. We definitely will read it. And that is so important, to become present. That's, say, a tool or a key for your audience, is that being more present when you are with yourself, to know in what state of mind you are when you say something, and how that emotion is, come out through your words. And also to be curious, the person in front of me, how they react. If they react negative or positive to my saying, to my objection, to whatever that is. And if I know how to, then I might have the clue that, what I said, it didn't resonate well with them. Let's understand what happened there and readdress it. But that requires us to be more present and not just let our mouth speak and then try to clean up the damage that we did, because we weren't present, because we weren't conscious about what we said. We just let the autopilot, react from our past memories and so on.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So it becomes very interesting, like when we talk about humans, like I and you are talking. So what is you? So when someone has a duality, whether you, whether me, whether someone, anyone, what exactly that means? It's like maybe you are thinking in a different way. So there is a contrast of opposition thinking. You may think of same thing that of same purpose or same thing. You may think differently, I may think differently, but the concepts could be different, or there could be two aspects of the same thing. So, we can say that there are contrast concepts are two different concepts, or we are thinking, but there are two aspects to that thinking. Just like a coin has got two sides, you know, just like a coin, it has got two sides, and that's both sides are important, basically. Does that understand like?
Yes, I love that.
Yeah,
I love
but also like, what is duality? So who do you believe, as we were discussing, and to all listeners who are probably understanding, like, hey, what is these complicated things? But I want to put it a little simplified, like, is duality a reality? Or what is it? Like, when I think differently, whether as an ideology, whether as a aspects, whatever, or two sides to everything, there is a two sides. That's why we say don't judge anyone without listening to both the sides. You can make decisions abruptly, fastly, decisively, without knowing what is the other side of the coin, and that can ruin everything. But that's why they say, please don't react, always act, they say. Reaction is easy, but action is thoughtful. So when you act something, then it's important. Just like that, I want to uncover these universal aspects of this duality. Is it a truth? Is truth a duality? So what are the things that has got no duality? If I have to ask, and if I have to understand or explore, let's explore what are the things that are not duality, that we cannot say there is a dual. Like human, we have genders, male, female. So there is a dual kind of, we can say there are two things, two different things, or two different beings. But then human being is one. So, but human being has got a duality because our mind has got two different things, right? So when two human beings come together, they come together for what? For oneness, to come together for oneness. And so, what is the divine? What is manifestation, or what is the truth? Truth means a real truth. What is truth means facts. So, what are facts means they don't have duality. Facts means facts, they don't have duality. So, just like we exist, we are born, it's a fact. We die, it's a fact. There is no duality in that. But we all, when we live, there are a lot of duality within us, right? Just like you said before, the yin and the yang, both the sides, we do have to have a symbol, um, but then they are interconnected, they are all interdependent. So, how do you see that, the meaning of duality in life, when I put it this way? It prepares you for very much, as you said about the movie. Isn't it like an uncertain? When we watch a movie, it is uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen until the end, movie ends, right? So, what is it telling you? That duality is preparing you for the uncertainties. So we have to go both have the yin and the yang. We cannot say I've got only this mindset and I will be as you rightly said, predictable. We want to watch the movie second time because it's now becomes predictable. But first time when you watch, it's uncertain. It's not predictable. But we go with that mindset of duality. It could be
yes.
predictable, it may not be predictable. We go with that mind, right? And this is what it is. So what is the opposite happening? Like one way we think, I want the answers like this. There is an expectations and there is a no expectations. But ultimately, our duality like, appreciates our own self when we are there. It appreciates us. only. So, as you rightly said before, if there was nothing to compare, there is no value to our own life. So, we need that comparison. We need both the things. Otherwise, we are not. So, how would you compare the older generation with the new generation or the coming generation? There is
Mm.
something precedent that we have in our mind. Oh, it must be like this, it is now like that, and it could be like this. All these uncertainty layers that we test is very important, right? For a personality to understand the duality of it. So, just like truth, there is no duality. But when you say, is God or is the power, does it got a duality? Or can we say that the power is a dual? you know but if you think that way, there we have two distinct persons. One is often identified, so like when we say a mother on its own, there is no duality. But when a mother gives a or a child is born to a mother, now there are two things. So now there are become like two dual. So mother is also powerful, but the son is also powerful. And so now there is like two different identities that we have created already.
Mhm.
How do you put this as a dual? Because it's your own child. Example, it's the mother and the child, they are all together. They all come from the same kind of situation. So dual personality or dual thought process or dual thinking is all there within both of us now. And now there is a comparison because there is a mother and a son or a mother and a daughter. But if there was only mother, there is no comparison. If there was only son, there is no comparison, right? So dual is very so important in our life as a human, that without duality we are nothing. Is that be fair to say that?
From my point of view, I'll come back to the coins, the coin itself.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a and I
Yeah.
put it, say, imagine this is the coin, and I have it one side facing me and one side facing you. Okay. If I have this coin and I keep it this way, and imagine you see it your side and I see my side,
Mm.
and I come and I tell you, and someone comes and say, I never seen your side, so I
Mm.
only imagine that your side is like my side. I don't know that
Yeah.
you have a different aspect. And I look at it, and I look at my side, and I say, this is what I see. And you from the other side, you never seen my side. You're gonna look like and say, no, you're wrong. This
Mm.
is my side, and this is what I see. And
Mm.
then someone comes and watch it from the sideways, like from the side,
Yeah.
and he says, you both are right and you both are wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who is right and who is wrong? The coin. The
Yeah.
coin is the whole. And that's what duality is for me. The
Yeah.
coin, the whole thing is the plus and the negative, the both sides, both of us are wrong and both of us are right. Depends of each side you look at it. But
Mm.
if you are watching it from outside of it, nobody's wrong, nobody's wrong.
Mm.
They are just is. We just are.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just are. And that's how you can experience life.
Mm.
When you're able to experience life itself the way it is, and
Mm.
knowing that one of the human needs, we have six human needs, and one of the two of them most important is certainty and
Yeah.
uncertainty. We
Yeah.
both need uncertainty and
Mm.
we both need certainty.
Yeah.
If we need certainty from the survival point of view, because
Mm.
that keeps us as humans to
Yeah.
still be here. And
Mm.
uncertainty is equal evolution.
Yeah.
Because without uncertainty, we'll not be able to evolve as species. And we did evolve as species. But
Mm.
when it comes to the second part of your question with the mother and the son, and now it's like, it's forming
Mm.
another identity. It is true. But do you know that the first 3 years of your life,
Mm.
a child, when is born, the first 3 years of their life, they do not have identity. Their
Mm.
identity is embedded into the mother identity. They
Mm-hmm.
don't see themselves
Mm.
as a person.
mm,
They look in the mirror and they speak with the person, the baby in the mirror, like will be another person,
mm,
because they don't have the concept.
mm,
That concept is formed due to experience life,
mm,
and also with the mental faculties that are being built
mm.
and grown and transformed and evolve in our brain in time. Just after 3 years old, between 3 years and 7 years, they start realizing that they are them, they have
Yeah,
a name, they have a personality, because those things are start being shown and expressed by the people around us.
absolutely.
But on the beginning, we
Mm,
are a unit. The child and the mother is a unit. That bond is
mm,
unbreakable. And
mm.
that bond never breaks.
Absolutely.
Unconsciously
Mm,
and emotionally will never be broken.
mm.
Consciously, we might not agree with our mothers and be upset with them and so on.
Yeah.
But in the spiritual realm, in the energetic realm, in the
Mm-hmm.
medical, like physical chemistry in our body, we
Mm,
have
mm,
half and half.
mm,
Inside of us, we have half of our mother DNA and half of our father DNA.
mm.
Doesn't matter emotionally, mentally, what relationship we have our parents. That cannot be ever taken and pulled away from you as
Correct.
much as you want to fight it.
Yep.
So this duality is living
Mm,
from the DNA point of view in us, from
mm,
the emotional point of view in us, from the mental point, and even spiritual. We experience this every day. Disregard, we
mm,
agree or not agree, if we believe or not believe in this.
mm, mm, mm.
And when we come to a conclusion, my personal conclusion is that more we accept this reality, that
Mm,
doesn't matter how much we fight it, we have it in us, all these things in us, and
mm.
makes us to experience a complete existential thing as a humans, makes us what humans we
Yeah,
are,
yeah,
then
yeah.
that at peace. We can be more accepting of who we are, and
Mm,
also we can start evolving more and more every single day by
yeah.
accepting and growing,
Yes.
accepting what is and growing, and stop fighting it. Actually
Mm,
become more curious about why we are how we are, how
mm,
can we evolve,
mm,
and also learn
mm.
from our
Yeah.
duality.
Yes.
And that is a gold in there, that if we able to grasp our hand and grasp with our hands mentally, emotionally on this beautiful gift that was given to us by universe, by whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I think,
Creation or whatever. Mm,
yeah, the creation, it's when you grasp this and be like, this is my gift,
mm.
instead of fighting with it,
True.
take it and accept it, your life will change.
Yeah.
Because in the end, yes, we're all different. We've such a beautiful, unique, diversified humans in this world.
Mm,
But we all fight for the same thing. At the
mm.
end of our lives, doesn't matter who you are. There's
Yeah.
been so much research of years and years of research of Harvard and so many other places. When you ask the people at the end of their life, is one single thing that they want, which is to be
Absolutely.
happy and to
Yeah.
feel free to be
Yeah.
themselves. That's the end of what we're all looking for. And
Yes.
that requires to be
Mm.
authentic and be who you are, required to accept your duality
Beautiful.
inside of you and outside of you.
Yeah. No, I think very well said. This is amazing topic to all the listeners, and I think I want to end here with this beautiful analogy. What you just now said is quite beautiful because we all are having in within us a duality. But then when we come together with another humans, they also have duality. But now that we are coming together with whatever reasons, whatever resonations, we come together, we have a lot of conflicts, and we think sometimes we can't live with you, we can't agree with you, we also have to disagree with you all the time. No. Actually, it also means that you can balance and you can still live with all these agreements and disagreements and everything, because at the end of the day, this is the reality of why we chose this topic of duality, that we already individually we are fighting with our duality. And when we come together with some other humans, we think that they are different and they don't agree with me and I don't like them and I don't disagree, All that things you may think with your mind, but still there are also beautiful creation, as you rightly said. At the end of the day, we come together to create something, and we all have to live harmoniously and very sincerely with enjoying life. So with that note, I think we all have a message, and I think, Adriana, you can get that message to all the listeners, that at the end of the day, what matters, irrespective of our dual personality within us and what we live with others, we still have to not just survive, we still have to grow and create and grow. And there is nothing wrong in it. With disagreement, you can still grow. With agreements and disagreements, we can still enjoy and have fun, because we are all unique and we need to accept, as you rightly said. That's the key. Acceptance, just the way who we are. So, your final message to all the listeners on this duality topic, on just what does it really brings to this forefront or to the end of this topic? How do you want to end this by sending a beautiful message to all the listeners who are listening? What does it
Yeah.
matter?
What came in my mind is this beautiful picture of like a painting. Imagine a painting with a lot of colors.
Uh-huh.
That is our life. You're gonna see in this painting black and white and orange and purple, and we know that most of the colors on a palette are
Mm-hmm.
basically a mix into colors, antagonist colors.
Mm-hmm.
And when you mix these two antagonist colors, you create a different color. The same with duality. We
Right.
love and we duality in our life. The duality is like that mixing of colors and
Mm.
creating new colors, which you
Right.
create a canva full
Mm.
of beautiful, exciting colors and creates an image which is our life.
Yeah.
This canva painting, we paint it every day, and we
True.
cannot paint and
Mm.
create a beautiful canva called life, our life,
Mm.
without quality, without mixing colors together.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
bad and good doesn't exist. It just is. And when we have all the colors and we learn how to play with them,
Mm.
then we'll be able to create a more meaningful and colorful canva called our lives.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, all you colorful people that are listening to us, I would like to take this opportunity to for thanking you to listen to us on this topic. And thanks very much once again to Adriana, who has put it in the right context, that we, at the end of the day, we may be unique, we are different, but then we are here to evolve together. And to evolve together, you have to accept and embrace the duality that we all have within us. And the duality everyone has got, but then we still bounce back on each other with those dualities, because we can only have to do is accept just the way it is. And I think that's a beautiful message. Thank you so much, Adriana, for this once again amazing. And we will come back. I know this topic can never end, because I think it's such a beautiful topic and a beautiful, colorful topic that we all have to show our colors through this duality, isn't it? So, with that note, I take this opportunity to thank you. And once again, we will come back with some other topics just like that, spontaneously, as we always do. Until then, please write to us. Let us know how do you feel and what do you want extra. Any feedback would always welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you and
Thank
bye
you.
for now.